Hello everybody and welcome back to another race here in ALR. Today is actually the penultimate race of this season, so it is possible for the championship to be won today by Tambi, who is not here at the moment. Currently only 13 drivers in, so we do have 5 or so minutes, so I'm sure they'll all turn up. But I think I remember seeing Ladamala say that he cannot race today, which means that he's got to hope that Tambi scores nothing. In fact, if I go and quickly so yeah, I'm just going to quickly go have a look at the championship table. Where is it? Where am I looking? Um, Standings, there we go. So the gap between them is 43 points. So I think the fact if Ladamala does not turn up to this race, Tambi has won the championship. In fact, unless we do something like double points for the last race, but I don't know. Yeah, because at the moment Stan cannot win the championship. However, he is under pressure from Hyped for third place, only separated by 4 points, the two of them. So that should be an interesting battle for the rest of the season to see who gets third. I'm not sure. I think technically they can both beat Ladamala, but it's not very likely. These two are the only two who can beat Ladamala. I think Ladamala, if he scores like any points for the rest of the season, will consolidate P2 here in this championship. So, you know, that'd be nice. But yeah, definitely a good battle still going down for third place there. Let me just go change the stream title. I do know it's wrong. For some reason, I always get this autocorrect thing with my PlayStation where I type it in normally and it just changes. And I'm like, huh? But yeah. So I'm just going to switch accounts quickly and change that title. ALR. Cheers for the retweet and like. If I go to your channel, videos, edit, here we go. And there we go, it's right again. um, Okay, just 1 more minute to go and we should be getting underway here. 19 drivers now in the lobby. Svenjo. Tambi's here. Yeah, and by the looks of it, I don't think Ladamala's going to be here. So it should be pretty much it for the championship. Unless, obviously, as I said before, double points or something, but I'm not sure if they do that kind of thing here. Okay, that's 8 o'clock. Are we going to go? Let's see. And everyone who is here right now, I don't know how many of you there are, I haven't been looking, there's 3 of you. So if I don't have 3 likes on this stream, then sorry to say it, but something very bad's going to happen to you. I'm not telling you what, because, you know, secrets, but something bad will happen. How many likes are on this stream? Go on, I'm checking it now. 1. Looks like 2 of you are having a bad evening then. Unless you like it right now. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. With only 3 of you here, I'm not sure that any of you will be. Yo, you're ready to see your country suck at sport. What country is yours? Here we have 4 watching now, but there's 2 likes now. I just liked it. So there's still 2 people out there who they're gonna have well, they're not gonna have fun to this evening because they didn't like the stream. So what can I do? I did warn you. As we now load into the session, and I haven't forgotten about it. I was just waiting a little bit. But what we're gonna do now, while I'm waiting for all you people to like the stream, is the interview lounge, because why not? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got a decent number of answers this week. 6 questions for the week. The first one, what do you think of this track? Kenny says no. AI Polhui goes Mexico. He says Dutchies will understand. I'm not Dutch, so I don't understand, but I could probably find out with a quick Google search. Ishtar says that he's very bad around here. RDO says it's a horrible track. Stan says he loves the track, but hasn't driven it much this year. Yeah, I think Mexico's one of the tracks that gets mostly ignored, you know. You just kind of forget about it. Personally, I like the track. Well, I'm not its biggest fan on the planet, but I'm fairly quick here compared to other tracks. So it's okay. I like it a bit. Welcome to everyone who just joined. Make sure to leave a like on the stream. Number 2, who will be on the podium this week at Mexico? You already know who's going to be the first one out on track, don't you? Ishtar. In the Williams. Okay, so number 2, who will be on the podium this week? Kenny says Skolzy hyped in Ladamala. Well, Ladamala's not racing, so that's not happening. Polhui says him, Lad and Stan. Ladamala's not racing. Ishtar says Ladamala, Stan and Tambi. RDO says Stan, Morgan and Ross. Okay. Which is Rosen. Stan says Ladamala, Ishtar and Polhui. And that's it. So slightly mixed. A couple of fairly common faces in people's predictions, but I think we could definitely have an upset here in Mexico, because Mexico is quite easy to get corner cutting penalties, even for leaders, especially here in the S's. You make a slight mistake through one of those S's, and the next one is just so hard to get back online. So I think we could see a few more penalties than normal round here, which will make for some interesting results, I think. Especially if we have a late safety car or anything, which is I don't know. Safety cars aren't that common around here, but they do happen. So we're going to ride on board with Ishtar now as he goes down a very long straight. Oh, we have yellow flags. I'm going to do that so that I don't have to later on. Very tidy first few corners there from Ishtar. Not the quickest I've ever seen him taken, but definitely clean. He's kept it on the track. And for a first sector time, 28 seconds flat. As someone disconnects, I didn't see who. I have a pretty guess who it would be, looking at the people who are here. But I didn't see who. Anyway, question 3. What do you think the pole time will be? Kenny says a 1:13.4. Polhui says we all do better than Bottas in the last corner. Of course, referencing Bottas's crash the last time F1 came in real life. I'm not sure I'd say qualifying time though. Ishtar says no clue. RDO says ... I think it's the first time I've seen RDO not give a prediction for this, so very strange. And Ishtar crossed the line with 1:14.6, so that puts him 1.2 seconds off the predicted pole time. Not too bad, I guess. Okay, whatever that was. Okay, Stan will be the second one to cross the line here. Stan puts lots of dots. So question 4, what track would you like to see take up the TBC spot of the season's F1 calendar? Kenny says Monza Oval with DRS all round. No. AI Polhui says Mugello. Ishtar says Daytona, but the Oval Daytona. Ardios says Korea. Yeah, I'd like to see Korea, to be honest. I like Korea. I'd also like to see Turkey. Hype for the Turkish Grand Prix this weekend. I mean, practice is tomorrow, so we get to see some F1 cars at Turkey, finally. Nice. I'm a big Turkey fan. And Stan says TT Assen, his hometown. I do know the Assen track, and I'm going to say no to that one. After playing it on Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, games like that. Let's get on board with Kenny. Number 5, as usual, how many DNFs and safety cars this week? Kenny says 5 DNFs to 2 safety cars. Polfrey says a lot if the lobby will even start. Yeah, we did have some issues with the lobby last week, didn't we? Oh no. Hopefully we don't have it again, because that took forever and wasn't very fun. Where am I? Ishtar says 4 DNFs, 1 safety car. RDO says 2 DNFs, 0 safety cars but 1 VSC. Stan says 0 DNFs, 12,442,673 safety cars, and 46,327 virtual safety cars. Okay. Fair enough. And final question, will Williams score points this season in real life? Kenny says no. Polky says yes, but Latifi will get it. Ishtar says no. RDO says yes, 1 point from Latifi. Stan says not if there is a safety car in every race. George doesn't like it. And yeah, Latifi. Yeah, what do you want me to say? Don't be mean to Latifi. He's not great, but he's not the worst I've ever seen. I've been pinged. Oh, people are getting lobby doesn't exist errors. And Hyped is on an outlap. Is his AI on an outlap or is he on an outlap? I think he's on an outlap. Okay, as Morgan, as he has done in the last couple of races. This time, replacing Ladamella for this race as Hyped leaves the session once again, is on pole with a provisional pole with a 1:13.8, only 4/10 off of that predicted time. So it could be a decent prediction. Let's have a look. Quickly, I'm going to try and re-invite Hyped, so just give me a second. See, there's only 5 of you on the stream as well, so while I'm doing this, make sure you're all sharing the stream around, telling your friends, you know, getting out there a bit, because we would like to see more people joining us. Obviously, the more the better. There is currently, what, 100 and something subscribers to the ALR channel, so, you know, 100 or so viewers would be ideal. It would be a lot more fun, a lot more active in the chat as well, instead of just the 3 or 2 people anyway. Aguilos asks who's fighting for the championship. I read this one out earlier, so it is Ladamella and Tambi, but Ladamella is not here, so it is very likely that Tambi will secure the championship at this race. Hyped says, what is this game? It says lobby doesn't exist. Logie says, what is wrong with your game, Hyped? It always happens to you. I think it's Hyped's connection that's kicking him out of the game. There are glitches where occasionally it will say like lobby doesn't exist, or like I had last week, I blue screened last week, which is why there was 2 separate streams for qualifying in the race. Sorry about that one, anyone who was confused by it. But yeah, hopefully this week we don't have issues like that, or at least not bad ones. There's a very nice lap there from Rosen, comes 1:14.3 to get him P3. That makes only 4 more drivers yet to set a lap. Husam has rejoined the session, so that's good for him. Hyped, Twanach, Joe and Wilt, the only ones yet to set a lap. However, Twanach is coming to change that one right now. You're using a Silverstone setup. Oh no, that's not good. No, I guess the wings are kind of similar, but camber and stuff, especially the suspension, is quite different here for the track. As Twanach puts himself P13 with 1:16.3, currently 2.5 seconds off the provisional pole time anyway. So he'll be looking for an improvement there with his next lap. The remaining 3 yet to set a lap are all on out laps now, so we should hopefully get some times posted before the end of this session. Everyone can have a lap time. Of course, it's very nice to see that Joe has been able to join us for this race. Well, this qualifying at least. He does sometimes have to miss qualifying, so it's good to see that he gets the chance to not start last in this one. Stan, provisional pole with 1:13.848, putting him only 1.2 hundredths of a second ahead of Morgan. Going to be a very close battle between these two, I'm sure, in this race. As Hyped leaves the session once again, it's not looking good for him. I'm going to invite him one more time. But if he keeps leaving, it might have to be that he just doesn't race, because he can't just keep leaving every 30 seconds. So let's see. There's Joe. Wilt coming towards the end of his lap now, so let's see what Wilt's able to do. He's not invalidated, so this, well, as long as he doesn't do it in the next 2 corners, it will actually get a time in. And it's going to be a 14.5, but in P6 so far in this session. I'm going to switchly swap over to Joe, coming to the end of the middle sector. What's his middle sector time? Can we see it? It's 55.2. So just the stadium section left to go and he'll be crossing the line. As Hyped says he can't be bothered in the chat. Well, please be bothered. You're fighting for P3 here in the championship. As Joe puts himself with P4 with 1:14.3. Very nice lap there from the Mercedes driver. Putting him a decent chunk ahead of his teammate, actually. About 4/10 ahead of his teammate. So, very good stuff between these two. It is very close as usual here in the midfield, from about 4th place down to... where is it? 12th place is all covered by just under a second as Hyped joins us once again. Hopefully he can get a lap in before the end of the session, because it would be a shame to see him starting last when he's fighting for P3 against Stan, who is currently on provisional pole. Let's see who else is on a lap. Polwy coming across the line, it is invalid. Kenny's left the session. I think it said Hype's left the session as well. That's a rip. Ishtar on a lap. Let's see, going just under a 10th up through the first sector, so very nice. Your connection's okay, but the game's saying there is no lobby. If anyone else is watching this stream and is in this lobby, could you please send Hyped an invite? It might be an invite thing. I know sometimes the game doesn't like invites from certain people. I don't know why. Ishtar with a 55.4, 2 and a bit tenths up through the middle sector. So he's definitely looking at a decent improvement on this lap. A good chunk of time up at the moment. Still more to gain as he comes through the final couple of corners. Kenny is back in the session. Let's see what's it going to be from Ishtar. A very small improvement. He lost about a 10th and a half there through the final few corners, and it's not an improvement on his position. So he's still P8 with that 1:14.6. And that's a big corner cut. Obviously he's trying to get back to the pits as soon as he can to get another lap in. Rudy, however, with a 1:13.7, puts in provisional pole. Still 3/10 away from that predicted pole time. I forgot who predicted it already, but yeah, still 3/10 off. What is going on here? Two Racing Points having a bit of a moment there. And that's a long way down for Penasib. Let's see if it's just a glitch or not. No, he's 3/10 up. Okay, good. He is improving from that P15 at the moment. Let's see what he's able to do. It's right on board with him for the rest of this lap as he's just coming through the first bit, the middle sector now. Into the S section we go. Left, he's trying to maximise the track on the right. Switch back over to the left. Really, it's just about getting as close to that white line as you can without actually cutting the track. Just like that, opening the DRS to see. He's a second and a bit up. So that's a very nice improvement for him so far in this session. That's going to put him at 16.0. Only moving up, sorry, a 15.0, sorry, will put him in P13 as it stands. So let's see what he's able to do as he comes through the final corner now, crosses the line. He improves by a second and a half, putting him with a 1:14.5, P9. Very nice lap, but as he sees everyone coming out the pits now to set their final laps, will it stay that way? Let's see what Tambi is doing through the final section of the track now. Stadium section. Obviously, it used to be a baseball stadium. That little area there, as you could probably tell, it isn't anymore. And Tambi dives into the pits, and I don't think he has time for another lap. If he does, he's very lucky, but I don't think he does. So that will be it for his session. As Stan also backs out of his lap, allowing the McLaren through there. So I wonder what happened to him. He is going for another lap though. He does think he has enough ERS saved up to be able to do that. So hopefully he's right, because we want to see a close fight for the pole position here. Let's see who else is on the lap. Rizin's also on a lap, just coming to the end of the first sector now. DRS opening down that second DRS straight. Let's see if he's improving. is improving by 3/4 of a tenth. 7.5 hundredths there. So very awkward line there through the double right hander. That's going to lose him some time, I think, with a lock up to make it worse. Into the S section we go. He's coming up on a bit of traffic. Hopefully he doesn't catch him too fast, and he's slowing down. He's backed out, I think. Hopefully he can get out of the way of the Red Bull. He can. That's a stand there. So unfortunately Rizin will not be improving in the rest of the session. And now traffic for Stan. It's the two Mercedes cars. This is going to lose him a bunch of time. He's all out of shape. He's down the inside. They've touched. And that's it for his session. Unfortunately, that is it for his challenge on pole because of the traffic. I'm sure he'll be reporting that one to the stewards after the race because Hype just left the session again. Because that was just straight up blocking, to be honest. They could have seen he was coming, gone off the track or something, at least pulled off the line, but they just kept the car there, and all the dirty air that Stan was getting was only made worse when he had to send a move. Morgan retires, so he's not improving on P3 either, so I think unless Polwy can do anything, or Joe, Rudy's got a pretty safe pole position here. But let's, as Hyped joins once again, so he will be here for the race. He will be starting from last though. Hopefully he doesn't try anything too aggressive in order to make those positions up, because this is a very long race and he has to remember that one. Improvement there from Husam, putting in P8. Ishtar goes up to P6 with 14.2. Town with 15.0. But our eyes are on this man here, Polwy. What can he do? Actually, Joe across the line does not improve by enough. Polwy, however, is improving. He has traffic though of the Ferrari. What's this Ferrari doing? And he has to back out because of the Ferrari. So lots of blocking going on here in this session. As Wilt puts himself P4, very nice lap to get just under the 1400s there. So Polwy's lap will it's just being ruined at the end there, to be honest, by that Ferrari, which I'm assuming is Penisib. So I'm sure that'll be another report to the stewards for this qualifying session. Illegal blocking being a bit of an issue so far. But let's watch the final couple of corners for Twanach. He's on the mediums and going very slowly, so he's will not be an improvement. 41 seconds down definitely is not an improvement. And that is it for qualifying. So hopefully when Polwy gets into his garage we can not have to wait for the next minute and a half. And he does. Okay, so pole position right now, Rudy for the Mexican Grand Prix. Second place Stan with about a tenth and a half down, and Morgan also a tenth and a half down for P3. Wilt 2 tenths back from pole time, P4, and following him is Tanby, Polwy, Ishtar, Joe, Rizin and Husam. The runners being able to choose any tyre they want, so my prediction would be the mediums, are Kenny, Penisib, Sculzy, RDO, Town, Boomer, Twanach, Swen and Hyped, who did not set a time in that session. Last to first is definitely possible here, Hyped. I did it in my last league race here. Well, I didn't start last, I was last after turn 1 because someone took me out and I went on to win the race. So, well, no, I came second because penalties helped me out a bit, but I could have won if someone had reported the winner, who was apparently driving quite dirtily, but no one decided to report him to the stewards, which was a weird one. But yeah, so I actually got P2, but I think if someone had reported that guy to the stewards, after what I saw, it would have been a pretty slam dunk penalty. So I'm going to call it a I'm going to call it last to first because, you know, I can. Ladamala needs to get second. Ladamala's not here, Logie Bear. I'm going to get from P20 to P10. No, don't try to get from P20 to P10 lap 1. It is a long race. Over 30 laps, if I remember right. It might not be. It might be higher end of the 20s. But very long race. You know, you can do an alternate strategy to get positions out of that. Yeah, 36 laps. So, very long race. Yeah, of course, you can choose whatever tyre you want. So you can use strategy to move your way up the field as well. So don't think that you've got to go from last to first on the first lap and you've gone for the softs anyway. The rest of the runners outside the top 10, Kenny and Scolsey, the only ones to opt for the hard tyre. Penisib, Ardio, Town, Boomer, Twanach and Swen all opting for the medium tyre. Hyped is the only one on that soft tyre from outside the top 10. Soft tyre that you don't really want to be on at this track because it dies so quick. Obviously for these front 10 the strategy will be either soft hard or soft medium medium, whichever one they decide they want. Maybe soft medium softs is possible. I haven't tried it on this track. I always find that the one stop is the better strategy anyway. But yeah, really the ideal strategy is medium hards. I think it is the fastest way to get around this track. So these guys on the medium and hard tyres will have the advantage over those who are not. And if they can make some good moves at the beginning of the race, get a good start, they could find themselves in a very good position for some very decent points. So we'll have to see anyway, as the grid is now forming up. A big gap between Stan and Rudy. I think it's the only real big gap in the field, except for Hyped, who's backing a long way off. Either because of tyre temperatures or because he was just driving slow, because he felt like it. Whichever one. But anyway, grid has now formed, so we should be seeing lights any time now. Hopefully we can get a good view. Are we going to get some lights? Here's some lights. 3, 4, 5. The sound is a bit decent there, sorry for that one. Lights out and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Very good start from the Red Bull of Stan there, but an even better one for Rudy. And Morgan's gotten all out of shape in the start. Lots of wheel spin. He's dropping positions so fast. Of course, slipstream down into turn 1 is very OP at this track. Very long straight, very long way down into turn 1. So really you want to tuck behind someone else. And look at that, Morgan. Oh, he's had contact with Ishtar, but Morgan on the first few corners has gone from P3 to P6. Not a great start. Hyped. You know he said it. Oh, he's cut across the front off by that Ferrari there. Contact between a lot of people going on here. I'm not quite sure why this is happening. Very scruffy from these guys. Not usually you see it get this congested. It's usually a bit cleaner than this one. Ooh, big send on Penisib there by Hyped, and he's binned it. Oh, what? That was so silly. You should have just stuck behind him, mate. First lap, you were made up to P9 anyway. So, why were you going for that one? There's a Hyped with a 3-second penalty already. And Rudy, what's happened to Rudy? Oh, timing glitch. Sick. RDO making a couple positions. And look, they're still side by side, all of these guys, down this straight. So, yeah, very, very congested towards the rear end of this pack. As Morgan gets back up into, well, 3rd place, it says. I think it's actually 5th place that Morgan is up into, but Wilt is coming back at him. Morgan moves quite aggressively to the outside. Big send there from Wilt. He's going to try and hang it around the outside of this next corner, but he just doesn't have the room. So So he's going to have to stick behind through the S section now and try again on the main straight next time we get there. Rudy, our leader, 8/10 is the gap, so he's got a very nice start in this race. And someone who hasn't had the best start is Polhui, already outside of the DRS on Stan. That's going to become very, very detrimental to his race very soon. Yeah, another fastest lap by Rudy. You would expect DRS is enabled. So this is where we're going to see the real stuff happen. Now that we have DRS activated and everyone within a second is basically getting a free pass down the straight. I think actually it's not quite a free pass. I think the gap you're aiming for is about 6-7 tenths if you want to pull off a pass down into turn 1. So it's not as big as you would think considering how large that straight is. But with all the dirty air you're getting through the S section and the stadium section, it's quite hard to be that close. So it's not quite an overtake fest as much as you would think here at Mexico. You really do have to be faster than the car ahead if you want to make a pass. Especially, or just running, I guess if you run a higher downforce setup to get an advantage through these sections, like the middle sector, last sector, to make sure you're close enough to make that DRS move on the straight, but then you'll have less straight line speed to make that move. So it's definitely a track where you're making trade-offs with your setup as Wilt goes very wide there, possibly due to dirty air, possibly due to pushing too hard, and that corner cut suggests that it's probably the latter. But he is 9/10 behind, so he will get that DRS benefit. It opens now. Let's see what he's able to do with it. Let's see how much he can close with this DRS. About 3/10 at the moment. About 4/10 he closed there from a long way back. So you can see how it's not quite as OP as you might think here, as Ishtar moves himself up into the top 10 with his soft tyres there. Soft tyres that I'm expecting to die quite soon, as Town gets a good launch off of that corner. Doesn't have the DRS though to make an advantage of it, unfortunately for him. Let's see. Morgan, well, Swen pits for hards, and Penisib gets a penalty for multiple warnings, but Morgan's very close to the back of Joe here. Stan is very close to the back of Rudy here. So after that initial good getaway by Rudy, Stan has started to come back at him a bit here. So definitely not giving up in the Red Bull here. He wants to consolidate his position in this championship. Let's see what he's able to do with a bit of DRS, as keep in mind Polhui is very close behind him too. So as you see, he's closed that 7/10 down to about 3/10, 2/10 coming into the corner. So we gained about 5/10 there. Maybe with a bit more overtake or a lower downforce setup, that could have been a move there, you know. But he does get the second go of the DRS here. Closing, he's a 10th, he's pulling alongside, looking to the inside. He's sending it, he locks up slightly. Room is left though by Rudy. Very clean racing by the two of them there. Stan has a bit of a moment on the exit of the corner. Keeps it together though, and will have to stay behind for just a little bit longer. RDO, however, is not staying behind for any longer as he goes round the outside of Rierson, and now the two McLarens are fighting all over. Kenny having to leave room for Boomer there and gets a penalty for his troubles. Still side by side between these two coming into the S section. Who's going to be braver? It's going to be Boomer round the outside through that first part of the S section, but now he's going to have a worse run off of this corner. Kenny opens his DRS flaps, so does Boomer, to be fair, but Kenny's back down the inside, and RDO's spun. He's been spun by Risen. Yeah, I didn't quite catch what went on there, but I saw he was on the inside, and more room probably could have been left. But then again, he might have just understeered into the side of him, so we'll have to see what the stewards say about that one if it reaches their report area. Morgan now very as we go back to the front of the field. Is very close to the back of that racing point. But it's becoming a bit too much of a train here, I think, for these guys. I mean, third, fourth, fifth man in the train can usually not do too much. It's usually the guys at the front of the train that need to start making moves if they want to disrupt some stuff, you know, because if it just stays as it is, they're just going to feed off of each other's DRS and no moves will really be made. But if the guy at the front goes for a move, you know, that really upsets the train, and it allows for moves even further back in the train. So that's what these guys are really waiting for right now, is for Stan to do something in this race, make a move for the lead, if he feels brave enough to do it. Maybe he'll choose to do it just before he dives into the pit, so that he has that advantage in the pit lane. Guess we're going to find out 6/10, just over 6/10, as we come through the final corner. DRS will open now. You see how close he gets on the straight. What I'm going to do is look at the telemetry to see how much overtake he's using. That's why he's struggling for a bit of straight line speed. He's out of overtake mode, but he still tries it round the outside. Doesn't quite have the room, but he's going to try a cutback, get a better exit here. Can he do it? DRS opens 3/10 as the gap as we come into the second DRS straight. Overtake is still being used, even though he's derating already at the beginning of the straight. He's looking down the inside. Another lockup. Room left by Rudy, very clean between them, and he's going to run out of room on the exit of that corner there. And now is Pole. He's going to have a look. Not really the best idea. I think contact was made there, and that has meant that Morgan's looking for a move on Polhui now. Yeah, and Polhui's lost out big time from that one. So, yeah. I told you, once the guys at the front start trying to make moves, that's when the rest of the train gets their opportunities. It's very difficult for it to happen naturally at the lower end of the train, as this train is starting to expand a bit as Tambi reaches the back of the Mercedes of Joe here. Morgan now looking for a move on Stan. He has much more ERS than the Red Bull driver, and this could even be an easy move completed before they even get anywhere near a brake zone. Easy. Wow. But a bit of slipstreaming there from Stan, but he doesn't quite get anything out of it. So Morgan moves himself up into P2 here. Stan moves down to P3. I see the second DRS straight, and Morgan decides not to go for the move. Does have a little look, thinks better of it. But further down, Joe is now behind Tambi, so Tambi's moved himself up into P5 with that one. Very nice stuff from the Ferrari driver, as these soft tyres are really going to start dying around about now. I think the pit window opens around about lap 11 for the one stop. So, yeah. As Boomer overtakes Kenny for P14, and Hyped moves down to last once again in his battle with Swen. Wow, penalties going everywhere. I think Kenny's had quite a few penalties at this point, so he's got to watch it. I think as we have yellow flags sector 1, and it is Hyped. He's been spun round, maybe by himself, maybe he had a bit of help from Swen, but he's going to have to stop again to repair that front wing, and this race is just not looking good for him. But it's also starting to look a bit worse for Rudy, who's been overtaken by Morgan into the braking zone there. So as people start coming to the pits, and that's 10 seconds for Hyped corner cutting. So Morgan now moves himself up into the lead of this race. Very nice stuff from him so far this race, moving his way through the field quite nicely. Picked his moments and made the overtakes when it's mattered. Hopefully now he can not pull away too far, so we can get some more of this battle in. They are, however, coming up to lap Hyped, who's stopped again. So this could be quite off-putting for some of the drivers if he's in a dangerous spot. I don't think anyone was too off-put by that car, so quite lucky really that he didn't cause anything major. As the gap between Morgan and Rudy has been expanded to about 0.8 of a second now. I think this is too far back for Rudy to think about moving to turn 1, especially now that it's 0.9. So Morgan definitely working as hard, as pushing as hard as he can to try and break this as Stan pits. Stan goes for an undercut. So he's going to get rid of those softs. He's putting on mediums. He's going for a 2-stop this race. Very interesting stuff from the 3rd place in the championship to pit now and try the 2-stop on those fresher, faster tyres. Big lock up there as he's rejoined in some traffic. Boomer, yeah, pushed very wide there after a bit of contact midway through turn 2. But Boomer's going to try and come back at him now. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about it. Those fresh tyres that Stan has on. And the damage, Boomer has damage, so that'll be why he's looking so slow at the moment. And Stan is just itching to get past these drivers on older tyres. He's very close to the back of town through this S section, so maybe he's trying to actually tyres. He was side by side with Polwy not just a second ago. This is a virtual safety car as a result. Now who's going to pit? Rudy's going to pit, Joe's in the pits, Wilt's in the pits. They're all going to benefit from this VSC because of the time gain they're going to get. Not quite a free pit stop, but pretty close to one, and the pit window is now open for those wanting to stop onto the hard tyres. So this could work out very well for these 4 drivers who pitted under this. So let's see where they feed out, because the safety car hasn't quite finished yet. Stan is quite a way ahead, so his undercut was working. Virtual safety car still going. Stan nearly runs into the back of Wilt there, so maybe some people not quite on their deltas here. Let's see. This is a very long virtual safety car, as Boomer also pits. Green flags, see? DRS enabled, green flags. We're going again. Still yellow flags though? Nope, they're gone. Okay, so we're back racing. So let's see. Twanac just left the session. Of course, he did retire, so he's not really wanting to stay and stick around. As a very nice move there from Husam around the outside of Kenny. Not sure why he's made it there though. There is a DRS straight coming right up, and he's probably about to get repassed by the McLaren. If I don't know, he's actually pulled quite a decent gap through those corners, so Kenny going quite slowly on those hard tyres, old hard tyres at this point, while Hugh is on new medium, so I think he's safe. So good thinking from him to make the move there and save himself some time. Wilt and Stan still going side by side through, and Stan gets ahead of the Renault driver who's just stopped last lap. So Stan up into 6th place, now on the back of that Joe Polwy Rudy train. The Joe Rudy kind of area where of course they pitted under the VSC and got a bit of an advantage out of that. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying down in the chat. Yeah, that's not very good advice, telling them to give up, as the remaining front runners pit now. Let's see where Morgan comes out. It's alongside Stan is where it is, and Stan is ahead. So Morgan, by pitting that little bit later, and Wilt's ahead too, making a move on Stan now. So just pitting that little bit later has cost him the net lead of this race. I think actually right now he's a net P5. Yeah, P5, so that's cost him big time. He's got all that work to do all over again, and as Hype says, he's got the fastest lap, so good for him. as I think he just unlapped himself too, so he's somewhere in this train. Ah, no, it's just the timing because he crossed the line, so yeah. Oh well. I don't like the way this game does the timing. Is this with a 3-second time penalty? Currently running in P12. Some people still yet to stop, but he's a little bit lower down than I'm sure he would like to be right now. So he's going to be trying to get a move on pretty soon with those soft tyres of his. So he is trying soft, medium, as well as some of these guys will be trying soft, medium, soft to try and get that harder, slower tyre out the way earlier on to have a quick finish in this race. Honestly, I don't think it technically makes that much of a difference which one you do, as Stan thought about a move there, thought better of it, probably the right decision. Ooh, as he gets a bit out of shape. I was going to say there's another chance for him right here, but he may have lost that chance through that little mistake, as Tamby with 3 seconds. He's sending it up the inside anyway. He's tried this move many times this race. It hasn't worked yet. He's sticking it around the outside this time though. Side by side coming into the double right-hander. Bit more contact. These guys are rubbing wheels all over the place, and I think he's going to have the inside for the next corner, so his move is completed. And now this is going to put Joe a bit offline, and he'll be under attack from Morgan very soon, and probably on the next straight, because Morgan's going to try make the move here and then use the DRS on Stan. No, he decides not to go for it. Nearly regretted that decision while he nearly ran into the back of that McLaren. Someone's won. It's Penisibs. Had a bit of a moment in the middle sector. He's now going to lose out to Ishtar. Just about enough room left there. Still side by side coming into the hairpin, but yeah, he just didn't have the grip compared to those soft tyres on the Williams there. Let's cut back to the front. Ooh, 3 wide nearly. No, Joe's just lost out to Morgan though, and he may lose out to his teammate Husam very shortly. Bad exit there from Joe, and Husam with DRS. Let's see, he's using the overtake mode, but he doesn't have very much of it left. Husam switches to the inside, sending it down. Room is left, as that's a bit of a corner cut there from Joe, and very wide from Husam. So yeah, doesn't quite have the an answer to that move there, and he's loose down to P7 for the Mercedes driver, who at one point was looking good to take the lead of this race. Someone who is in the lead of this race, Rudy, who lost it shortly before the pit stops, but is looking quite comfortable at the moment. Oh, so yeah, I did catch your start hyped, but I didn't know that it was a screen freeze. It was a the move you made just before you spun wasn't the best, but yeah, as Stan gets past Wilt, moved himself onto P3, and he's going to start charging after the 2 Racing Point drivers now. With those medium tyres, 2 Racing Points on the softs, so they will be slower come the end of this race. Yeah, I don't know if you could have said you would have easily won. You had a lot of fighting to do, but I think you maybe could have been, you know, top 6. You would definitely be somewhere in this fight that we're watching right now, without any further mistakes. Joe cutting corners. Well, he wasn't really left the most room he could be there, as Joe 3 seconds for multiple warnings, so I guess I'll shut up. Wilt just struggling to keep onto the back of Stan here, so he's lost DRS, which will put him under pressure from Morgan very soon. Morgan now just under 6/10 behind, definitely within territory to make a move down the straight. Especially after Wilt gets up on the curb like that. That's going to slow you down a bit. So Morgan's now looking to the outside of turn 1, but he's clean past going into the braking zone, so it's not made too difficult him there. Well, Wilt didn't want to make it difficult anyway. now he can try and maybe gain that 10th and a bit to Stan and use DRS to just move along with him a bit so he can be there, maybe overtake him, but at least, you know, keep with him so that he can be there come the end of the race when it's all going to start to play out for these guys on this strategy. In fact, Morgan on the hard tyre, if he can keep with someone on the medium tyre, that will put him in pretty good position for a win here, because these gaps between Stan and Polhui and Rudy is fairly stable at the moment. So yeah, if he can really, well, the interval's just disappeared, so I was going to have a look, but I think he's roughly, I want to say 6 seconds behind Rudy, our current leader. So, you know, pit stop here is around about 20 seconds, I want to say. So he will have a nice buffer being on that one stop to the cars behind. You know, 14 seconds to defend on a last stint definitely puts him in a very nice position. But he will want to save some ERS while he does it, most likely because his ERS levels are a bit lower than maybe he'd hope for at this stage of the race. Let's have a look at Joe, who's been cutting a lot of corners apparently. So let's see what he's up to. He's half a second behind Husam, so Husam hasn't really been able to drop him. Maybe this is a sign that those medium tyres are starting to fall off a bit, and this is where the hard tyres are coming into their prime, where they start to be that little bit better than the softer compounds. And then maybe that shows us that they're not so much, but definitely from the pace looking at it, I think you can make a case for this being the crossover period where the hards are starting to become a little bit better than those medium tyres. So we could be seeing a second round of pit stops very soon for those. I predict maybe 3 more laps, and we could see some soft runners coming in for their medium tyres to go to the end. What would that put us on? That would make them go 15 laps on the mediums when they've been doing around about 11 on those softs. So yeah, I think that's a good sort of roundabout where it will be. So watch for lap 22. I think that's when we're going to see some of these soft runners pit. As for the medium runners, they'll probably try to go to around about lap 27. Between 25 and 27 I think is really their pit window to get that 9 to 11 kind of laps on that soft tyre at the end to really make their strategy work. Joe just unable to keep onto the back of Husam though, so I don't know, maybe one too many mistakes. He's hyped, I think, has had another incident, but this has put him on the back foot in the fight against Tambi, who's also on that hard tyre. So if he can move himself up, as we have yellow flags in sector 1. Town's had a huge moment at the that's turn 2, 3. He's cut turn 3 by the looks of it. I don't really know what's going on there. Maybe he had an incident on the exit of turn 3, which is what put him towards that wall. He does have damage on the right end plate of his front wing, so he probably is going to want to pit. Probably for another set of mediums, I would say, to try and get to the end of this race. As Hyped leaves the pits for another set of softs. Interesting. Tambi now looking for the move on Joe, not quite close enough this time round, and as I was saying before Town's incident, if Tambi can move himself up ahead of Joe here, he's in a good position to really fight for that P2 at the end of the race. It's certainly a podium. Even with Joe at the moment, Joe is currently looking in a good place to maybe get that podium come the end of the race once we see all these strategies play out. So I'd keep an eye on these two. These two are going to definitely be looking quite a bit better than they currently are in a few laps time. Morgan with the 3-second time penalty, that could be crucial come the end of the race. It's going to make his defence of that current net lead a lot harder, as I think he's actually closing in. What's that, 4.7? So, yeah, he's about 5.5 seconds behind the lead now, so he's edging closer to Rudy, so those hard tyres are definitely working for him right now. So we'll keep track of that gap as Rudy pits. So lap 21, I said lap 21, lap 22, you're going to start seeing people pit. And here's the first of them. Rudy decides to go for that undercut. He's going to try and go a little bit longer with that medium tyre when he's chasing down Morgan at the end. Let's see where he feeds back out after his pit stop. I think he's pretty comfortably ahead of Penasib, so it's going to be P9 for him. Yeah, that's quite a comfortable gap there. So P9 for Rudy, and he's got all the work to do to move himself back up. I think he's currently about 10 seconds off the back of Joe. I think Joe is looking at a current net P3. So to get back onto that podium, he's got to catch 10 seconds. And obviously Joe only half a second behind Tambi, so if he can catch those 10 seconds, he's definitely in for a look at P2 as well. But maybe he's just a bit too far back, looking at the gaps. Maybe I think that's about 17 seconds there to the net leader Morgan at the moment. So he's got a lot of work to do in this final 15 laps of this race. Let's see if he's got it in him. But I think this is definitely just showing that that 2-stop is not as fast as that 1-stop. A safety car though, a late safety car could turn this race on its head, so I won't say anything too soon. As Hyped with the fastest lap of this race, and Polhui follows his teammate in a lap later. So let's see where Polhui comes out. I'm expecting it to be not too far behind Rudy in that P9 position. Medium tyres on to the end of this race. He comes up the pits. He'll be running side by side with his team actually. Obviously getting up to speed though, he will fall behind him. But this gap is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. Only about a second between the two Racing Point drivers as Polhui exits the pits. Yeah, just over a second there. 1.1 seconds. So could be very close, but I'm not sure that these two want to fight too much, because if they start fighting between them, this starts to give an advantage to drivers like Tambi, Joe and Morgan, who are fighting over the podium at the minute. So these two really want to work together, push each other along, you know, use their ERS efficiently in order to make that gap up to those hard tyre runners in this race. And just looking at the gaps to see, is Stan going to pit? No, Stan carries on for another lap. He's got Morgan within his DRS now. So that could be a mistake, but maybe he's going to use this tactically. Hold up Morgan a bit and then pit. Behind them, weaving from Will. Very strange. Don't know what he's doing there, but he's weaving. And we have a move. RDO is passed by Kenny, but he's trying to keep it on the inside. It switches to the outside for the next corner, and it's not really where you want to be, the outside of that corner, but he's going to have DRS now as they come down the straight. Overtake mode already engaged as he's pulling alongside even before DRS is open. DRS open now, and it should be an easy move down into turn 1. I don't know, Kenny's making it hard for him. Hyped with another 10-second time penalty I did see, and there's a yellow flag. It's Polhui. So he's had contact with his teammate maybe, which is exactly what I said he didn't want, and that's lost him a lot of time. He's now 3 seconds behind Rudy, who is 6/10 off the back of Riesen on that old medium tyre. So that's cost Racing Point a lot here, I think. Well, maybe not Rudy, but certainly his teammate Polhui. If they were looking for the 1-2, that's a lot of time to lose at this stage in the race. So let's see, should be a pretty decent move here from Rudy. He's closing up a lot before they even get to that DRS zone. Not even using overtake, swings out, he's ahead, pulls back onto that racing line, and easy stuff. Stan still yet to pit. He's got a pit soon. Look, Morgan's all over the back of him, but is obviously not quite fast enough to make a lasting move, as Wilt is starting to close that gap to them, but not by any significant amount, I don't think. Husam's under a bit of pressure as well from Tambi, and I would say Joe, but he's about 3 seconds off the back of Tambi right now. We have the yellow flags in the middle sector. I think it was for hyped. So probably nothing too major there. Everyone's moving in the right direction. Yeah, it's hyped. I think he's just getting out of the way to... Yeah, he's allowing himself to be lapped here, so pretty sensible stuff for Stan now pits for that soft tyre. Going to the end of the race on these softs. Let's see, where's he going to come out in comparison to the racing points? There's one racing point, and there's the other. As he now crosses that line and can get up to speed, but he's going to have that softer, fresher tyre to run to the end of this race with. Let's see if he's able to use it meaningfully, as I think there's a chance that Hyped is trying to cause a safety car here, which is not really good behaviour in a league race like this, because it affects so many other people's races too. So it's a very silly thing to do, try and cause one on your own. And Town has retired. Let's see what happened to him. It's on the exit of the S section. He might have just binned it on his own. Yes, it looks like he's just lost traction and put it on that inside wall, and there's a virtual safety car. So I'm expecting the likes of Wilt, Hugh, maybe even Tambi and Morgan, if they feel like they get enough time off their pit stop to pit under this VSC. Let's see if they think they can gain enough of an advantage to go onto the soft tyre under this VSC. Morgan chooses not to. Tambi also chooses not to, but someone who chooses to dive into the pits is Husam for his final pit stop of this race, and same with Wilt. So this has helped these guys out massively, and Joe follows them in. Joe, who was on that hard tyre trying to go to the end, decides to pit for softs and serve a... Oh no, it's just a glitch. I thought it was serving a penalty, but I think that may be a bit of a mistake from Joe. I think he would have benefited more out of keeping those hard tyres on and trying to defend later on in this race, but he is currently P8, so and he's on that fresher tyre, so let's see if they can maybe start to catch the likes of Rudy and Polhui. Obviously the gaps probably suggest that they won't, but I think Joe's throwing away a potential podium by stopping there, if I'm being completely honest. Rudy now 7.6 seconds off the back of Tambi. We have 10 laps remaining in this race, so that's not much under a second a lap that he's got to close to make this one work. And if he wants that win, then he's going to have to make way over a second a lap, because the gap to the current leader is about 15.2 seconds. So with the remaining 10 laps, that's going to be a big ask from the Racing Point driver. About a second and a half a lap, I think he's going to have to try and gain to get that win here. No, Ladamala isn't here. I said that at the beginning, Logie. He's been replaced for this race by Morgan. See, Polhui's caught back up to the back of his teammate Rudy, so maybe he is the faster of the two Racing Points on this medium tyre. He maybe just prefers them a little bit better as Wilt gets past Husam. So let's see what he's able to do. Probably not going to be able to do much, to be fair, because right on the back of them, Stan is already caught up with that soft tyre. So Stan definitely hunting down a podium here. And maybe even P2 if he can get enough of a move on. Let's see, does he go for a move here? He does! Has to back out of it because Polhui wasn't having any of that. Got to wait now to the DRS straight. Of course, Polhui will also have DRS, so it won't quite be as easy for Stan to make this move. Yeah, Tambi's automatically the championship winner, unless they do like double points for the last race to make up for the fact that Ladamala wasn't here. As Polhui makes a move for P3, he does get past his Racing Point teammate, who's been ahead for the majority of this race. in this fight between those two teammates. So it's interesting that now, lap 28, coming towards the end of this race, that swap has happened. Big contact there between Stan and Rudy, and the one time Stan decides to go around the outside is the time he's actually made a move into that corner. Because all those other down the inside moves he tried before didn't quite work out for him. So nice job from him to move himself up into P4, but he gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings through the S section. So that will hurt his chances at gaining too many more positions in this race, unless Tamby and Morgan start having an absolute mare. Okay, 3 seconds for Ryerson, who's currently P9, with his teammate Kenny right behind him. So that could be interesting come the end of this race to see how those two end up in that fight between the two teammates. Now Stan isn't close enough this time round to make a move on Polhui. Polhui definitely with better pace than his teammate at this stage of the race. You can already see the gap they've made on Rudy, 1.5 seconds in just 1 lap. So Rudy really struggling here on these medium tyres. Maybe he just stopped a little bit too early, or maybe he's just not quite got the ability to save his tyres in the same way Rudy, Polhui and Stan does. But I guess we don't know. But big mistake there from Polhui, and that allows Stan through for probably the easiest overtake he's going to get all race. Just looked like Polhui just got really out of shape on the exit of the double right-hander there, and it's cost him P3 in this race. Let's see if he's able to do anything about it though, because he is still quite close behind the back of that Red Bull coming into the stadium section. Of course, down this next straight as Polhui gets a 3-second time penalty, so he no longer has any kind of penalty advantage over Stan, I don't think. I think he's a bit too far back, 8/10. I think is a bit too much for Polhui to be able to make a move down into turn 1 here. But maybe if he can close in enough, he can make the move into turn 4. 0.4 of a second, half a second now between them. No, he's just not got the grip that those soft tyres have on that Red Bull, I don't think. So a bit of a lost cause for Polhui here. Let's, for his sake, hope that he can just keep on the back of that DRS range, just have himself dragged along towards the end of the race, and if Stan ends up making any mistakes, that could be his time to make a move. You can see though that Ferrari ahead of them is Tamby, only 3 seconds to gap now, and it's falling all the time through this middle sector. Tamby losing 0.5 second through the S section alone, so his hard tyres are starting to die, and this is allowing Stan to close up massively. Look at that, 2.3 already. Look how fast they're gaining on Tamby for the fight for P2 here. Incredible stuff. I'm sure Tamby won't quite make it as easy as Polhui did though for Stan to overtake. 1.9 is the gap, so he should be looking at DRS next lap, on lap 32. Tamby, I think though, might be able to hang on a little bit longer from the likes of Polhui and Rudy though. We have Hyped moving slowly once again. What the hell am I watching? That is so laggy. Okay, whatever that was, it's over now. Yeah, 1.3 the gap coming into the S section once again. Remember how much he gained last time they went through this section. If he gains anything like that this time round, he should be looking very nice for a move in the not too distant future. He's just on the edge of that 1 second. I don't think he got DRS this time around though, but he definitely will if he can keep this gap, as I think that's a corner cut there from Stan. So 0.6 is the 0.7 is the gap now. So right on the edge of that overtake range. Let's see if he's able to do it now, coming onto the main straight. DRS slapping opens now. Let's see, he's going to slipstream ERS to overtake, which he doesn't have very much of. Tambi has quite a bit more, but he pulls to the inside. Tambi's going to try and keep it around the outside, switching to the inside for the next corner. And that's 3 seconds for cutting the corner by Tambi. He's just turned in a bit too early in reaction to Stan being on his outside, and that's cost him his penalty, both his penalty advantage and his position. So Stan using that DRS on the next straight to just make sure Tambi can't come back at him. Stan gets another 3 seconds, so he is pushing as hard as he can, but he's got to make a pretty significant gap come the end of this race to keep that P2 that he currently has over Tambi. Now he probably can do it with the softer rubber, but I don't know how quickly that soft tyre will die, or really how slow it will be at the end. Also, don't forget that if Tambi uses a bit more of his ERS, he could probably get back within that DRS range, although I say that and he loses another chunk of time. So it's looking less and less likely every corner that goes by. 1.3 is now the gap between them. 1.2 is a bad exit from Stan, hyped with 5 seconds, as I think Husam had a bit of a moment there. No, it was Morgan. Morgan had a moment causing the yellow flags. He's lost a bunch of time to the cars. Why is there yellows? There was yellows in turn 1. What happened? No, there's yellows in turn the last sector. That's just hyped, getting out of the way for other cars. Getting out of the way of a lot of cars. But I don't know what was going on. I saw turn 1, turn 2 some yellow flags, and I thought maybe Morgan had made a mistake, but then it happened again, and that was when Stan, Tambi and Polby were going through there. But it doesn't really look like any of these guys had anything major go on, so I'm not really sure what happened. Tambi now defending his podium space from Polby on those fresher medium tyres. 2 laps to go in as well. 3 laps to go left in this race. Lap 24, 5 and 6. Can he do it? With Joe receives another 3 seconds, which puts him under threat from Ryzen, I think. So he's got to make sure he doesn't lose out too much there. Tambi's trying to hang it around the outside once again. This time it works out for him, but Polby's going to have a much better exit. DRS opens and he's already gone defensive, Tambi, but I don't think he's got much chance of holding this one, to be honest. Hyped gets another, but how's Hyped not disqualified yet? The amount of penalty he's been getting, you would have thought he was, and there's no room left for Tambi there, as he gains another 3 seconds for track limits, but I would probably ask for that one to be removed there, because yeah, he didn't leave him the space really, did he? So maybe post-race this little situation here could change once again. Tambi unable to get DRS off the back of Polby, but people who are in DRS, Wilt and Husam, DRS off the back of Rudy, who was once quite comfortably in the lead of this race, has now found himself under pressure by 6th and 7th. This could be absolutely horrible for the Racing Point driver at the end of this race, seeing his teammate up there in P3 at the moment, and he's got a pretty good chance of falling to P6 here now on this straight. As he goes defensive, Wilt looks around the outside, easy move. Husam also tries around the outside. He's lost 2 positions in 1 corner here, has Rudy. Husam is also through. And Tambi, Polby's made a mistake. Has he got damage? I think he has got damage, but I think there's a reset to track there. That's put him back behind his teammate. He has got damage. So that has put him down to 8th place behind Joe now. And he's back behind his teammate, who I was saying was regretting being so far behind his being behind Polby, and now a few seconds later Polby's back behind him. Commentator's curse or summon. Should probably stop saying things. But that has moved Tambi back up into a podium position. Wilt 1.6 down the road as we are about to come on to the final lap of this race, lap 36 of 36. Is it going to be enough for Tambi to stay ahead? It might be, because Husam is looking like he wants to give Wilt a bit of a challenge for that P4. And I don't think Joe's going to get anything on Rudy here. It's hyped with another 3 seconds. Honestly, how is this man not disqualified yet? So now, Husam looking for the move around the outside of turn... Oh, hyped disqualified. Looking around the outside of Wilt. Just about enough room given there, and it's a pretty nice move there from the Alfa Romeo driver on this final lap. He's going to have a second go at DRS just to consolidate that position. But I don't think he's going to get close enough to Tamby to make a move. Maybe a lunge coming into the stadium section if he feels brave enough, because he is basically pushing that Ferrari round the final couple of sectors in this race. As we'll cut forward to Morgan here, getting the Mexico flag confetti or whatever it is. He comes through the final corner to win this race by a comfortable gap. Husam is past Tamby. Tamby's coming back at him, coming into the hairpin. He tried the move, but it did not work out for him. Tamby gets his third place back. Stan now crosses the line for second. Tamby will come through the final corner. He will finish third on track. It's going to be fifth by the time... What is going... Rudy! What? No way! What? So Rudy, after all those penalties, all the fighting between Stan, Wilt, Husam... Oh my god, Stan comes P3. Very nice stuff from him. Wilt... well, Stan was P2, so his penalties drop him to P3 after Rudy's in P2. The fighting between Wilt, Husam and Tamby have dropped them all behind Rudy. So they're coming 4th, 5th and 8th. 6th goes to Rezin after a very quiet race. 7th to Joe. 9th to Polpi after his late mistake. He's quite lucky to get points really. And 10th goes to Ishtar, who is probably quite surprised by that one. 11th, just missing out on points, is Penisib, Swen and Kenny. Boomer comes P14 and RDO should come home P15 as Sculsey was lapped. Interesting stuff. Okay then, RDO. Whatever that is. As he retires from the session, he will still get that position ahead of Sculsey though, because he did the 90% of the race required to be classified. Good job, Hopes. Driver of the day, Husam. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that one. He made up quite a few positions there. Although Rudy, for just the consistency and not getting penalties at the end there. Wow, what a P2! I was saying throughout most of this race he was looking like he was looking quite good for that win until the first round of pit stops came through, and all of a sudden he wasn't so comfortable. And he just didn't have the pace in that last stint to make back up the difference to those front running guys. But he did it on penalties, got P2 on penalties. But I think Morgan today with his one stop, probably the better strategy, as well as being able to just really extract the maximum out of those hard tyres, has got himself a pretty nice win here today. Another win for Morgan. So Morgan's your winner, P2 Rudy, and P3 for Stan. A very solid race from him. Just lacking a bit of pace in some stages of that race. Two stop probably cost him a win, but then also 12 seconds of penalties probably also cost him the win. Fourth Wilt, and following that was Husam, Rezin, Joe, Tamby, Polpi, Ishtar, Penisib, Swen, Kenny, Boomer, RDO and Sculsey. The non-finishers were Town, Twanach and Hype 2 was disqualified. Let's quickly have a quick run through this race director, so that anyone who wants to get penalties removed but didn't check the race director in their own POV can just see what's going on. Actually, I think this race director is maybe a bit too long for me to check all of them. Yeah, looking that way. So anyone who got a penalty after lap 27, I'm sorry, I didn't get to catch it there at the end. What a race. I'm quickly just going to check to see what is going on with Tier 2 right now. So Tier 2, let's see what they're up to. they're currently on lap 27. So if you guys want to see the end of that race, where Mo is currently leading the race with about a 2.5 second gap to Pontus Johansson, you can go see what they're up to. Apart from that, make sure to check out Tier 3, who race on Sunday, same time, 8 o'clock British, 8 p.m. British time, and of course the sprint races, which I think might be coming into the last week or so. I'm going to say this every week from now on because I'm not sure what round they're on. I'm not too up to date with it, but I think they're coming into maybe the last week or two of the Sprint League. So make sure you check those guys out on a Tuesday, again at 8 o'clock British time. Except for that one, thank you all for coming and watching this incredible race here at Mexico. Make sure you join us next week for the season finale. You heard that right, finale in Brazil. So that should be a great race. A, because it's Brazil, and B, because everyone goes crazy for a finale, right? So make sure you all go and check that one out. Same time next week, same place, of course, here on the ALR channel, and hopefully there's no reason for it not to be, but it will be me here to come and commentate that one for you after this most of the season. I've been able to commentate for you guys. Of course, I did join I think it was about 6 rounds too late, but it has still been a great experience commentating for you guys this season. Enjoyed it very much, so thank you all for that, and of course the support you've given the Tier 1 streams throughout the season. So I appreciate it a lot, and all the kind words you've been giving me on Discord too. So see you guys next week for that one. But that's been it from me for this week. Hope you all have a good day, and good